Here's the deal, man. I want to talk to you today about a subject that, let's be honest, most of us don't want to talk about. Really, most of us don't even want to think about it because we've been conditioned throughout the duration of our lives that this subject is only for women or for metrosexuals, and that is skincare. I know what you're thinking. Oh, Tanner, there's nothing masculine about skincare. How can you call your channel Masculine Style when you're talking about something as sissy as lotions and eye creams and all this other stuff? And I will admit that for a long time I agreed with you. And yeah, just because it's something that I want to talk about with you today doesn't mean that it needs to be something that's advertised, that you need to talk about with your buddies, or really this is something that can be done privately, it can be done quickly, and then you just don't think about it. So let me give you a comparison to the way that I think the majority of men treat our faces, and then the reasons why we should actually be concerned with skincare. So I'm going to tell you a story basically about a farmer and his farmhand. And after spending an entire day at a dealership, going through paperwork, test driving all these different trucks, the farmer finally decides that he's ready to buy a new truck. The one that he's been using for decades is worn down, it's beaten up, it doesn't do the job very well anymore, it's got a lot of miles on it, and so he decides it's time to buy a new truck. So they get this brand new, beautiful monster of a machine. They get back to the farm, and that evening they start loading up a bunch of pallets of wood. And as they're doing it, the farmer just goes back into his old routine. He's throwing them over his shoulder, he's picking them up and down, just not really giving any sort of care or concern to the truck. And as he's doing it, the whole top of the bed is getting scraped and scratched, and it's just getting ruined. And this brand new farmhand is thinking to himself, what are you doing? And he actually voices it. He says, how can you do this to this brand new truck? It's so pretty, it's so nice. And this grizzled old farmer, he goes out and he grabs a shovel and boom, boom, just right along the side of it, puts in a few dents and scratches it up, and he says, there, it's not pretty anymore, now it can do the job it's intended for. Now, this is a story that I've heard a bunch of times, and it relates to materialism. This idea that most things in our lives have a function, and for the most part, that function is not to look pretty or to look good. And to some extent, I can agree with that, and I think there's a moral to that story. However, there's one major problem. The problem starts at the very beginning when you recognize the fact that the farmer bought a new truck. And basically, he bought a new truck because the way that he used and treated the old truck. Now again, there's nothing wrong with the way that he used it. It did its intended job, but the truck is something that can be replaced. So let's continue with that analogy, and let's say that your skin or your body is something that you try to treat like this farmer treats his truck. And for a lot of men, that's the way it is. Sure, we may wash it every once in a while. If we're lucky, we'll use a special face wash as opposed to just the soap that you have for the rest of your body. But for most guys, that's as far as it goes. So pretend with me that we're in an alternate universe, and as part of this universe, whenever you're born, you get a car that's issued to you. Now for me, the ideal would be a 65 Mustang. I love these things, I think they're fantastic. So let's just pretend in this analogy that the day I'm born, I get a 65 Mustang. Awesome, I'm set, I love it. Problem, I will never ever be allowed to buy another car again. There's no way for me to do it, and so that one car that I'm issued at birth is my car, and it has to last me the rest of my life. How do you think I'm going to treat that vehicle versus the way that I treat my stuff now? Now, I'm prone to take care of my stuff as it is, but at the same time, I understand that my car is going to get old, it's going to get too high in its mileage, it's not going to look as new or as nice, and so I'm going to have to get rid of it eventually. That's the way that we treat those things. You can't do that with your face. You can't do that with your skin. The stuff you're born with is what you have with you for the rest of your life. And I'm sure that it's pretty easy to tell the difference between a 65 Mustang that has aged well and it's been taken care of versus one that looks like it just got picked up off of a scrap heap. It has nothing to do with the condition in which they were originally made. The parts are the same, the standards are the same. The only difference is the way in which they've been treated throughout the duration of their lives. That's the same thing with your face and with your skin. Now this coincides with something that I talked about in a previous video about how men shouldn't worry about looking younger. And I still stand by that. It's just that we should take care of ourselves so that we age well. One of the big differences between my seeing a man who goes through a regular grooming and skincare routine is that he's still accepting the fact that he ages well. So let's continue on with this car analogy. Let's say that I've got my 65 Mustang, but all of a sudden I see a commercial for a 2016 Mustang and I think, that thing's sweet, that puts the 65 to shame. I don't really think that, but for the sake of the analogy. And I decide that I want to start swapping out parts and I want to start doing upgrades. Now, men do this, specifically a lot of metrosexuals, a lot of guys in Hollywood, where this is the idea of plastic surgery or major Botox, or really going so far above and beyond that they're trying to look like the newest and the latest version that it ends up looking bad. Because no matter what you do to my 65 Mustang, it's never going to look like a 2016. It's going to look like a hack job. And no matter what you do to your face, to your body, to your skin, as far as plastic surgery or invasive procedures, it's never going to look as good as a dude who's 22 years old and has really good skin and he looks young or he looks successful, because your body needs to age well. And so that's the whole reason that you should care about your skin. So that's why I think you should care about your skin. That's why it's important that you just establish a good, relatively easy routine to do so. Now, to talk to you about how to do that, I've got a sponsor for today's video. That sponsor is Tiege Hanley. Now, if you haven't heard of these guys before, it's because they're relatively new on the scene. They just recently came out. They are co-owned by a friend of mine, Aaron Marino. He runs a channel that I'm sure you've heard of. It's I Am Alpha M. And not only that, but Tiege Hanley has a channel that I'm going to have linked for you up here. The cool thing about this is that it takes this kind of weird, kind of intimidating, and super expensive process of caring for your skin, and it turns it into something that's really easy, it's really cheap, and it's really streamlined. So I want you to go ahead and check these guys out. I've got a link for you here below to go give them a try. The way that they do this is it's a monthly subscription service, and you can do it in 3 different packages. The cheapest one is going to give you the basics. That's basically, you go and you wash your car, you dry it, you take good care of it. You want to up it up a little bit, then they have another one that's a little bit more expensive, and with that you get some additional products. This includes things like the wax that you would put on your car, or the leather conditioner for the seats, things that would be comparable to that effect. Or they have a 3rd tier, and this is the conditioning that would come with, like, you go and you get your car detailed. You take this immaculate care of it, it's showroom ready, and it looks phenomenal. If you've decided that you're ready to start taking care of your skin, if you've decided that you're ready to age well, not just age, then go check out Tiege Hanley, go try out their stuff, you're gonna love it. Oh, and by the way, just because I love you guys, I got you a discount code. It's down here, go check it out, get a deal. I'll catch you next time.